best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
If Bud was the best, I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down, he's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith directly confronted Floyd Mayweather for downplaying Terence Crawford's monumental victory over Canelo Alvarez. Smith was firm in his stance, declaring that what Crawford achieved was historic, something no other fighter in boxing history has ever done. Becoming the undisputed champion in multiple weight divisions, Crawford has redefined greatness, said Smith. He stressed that Crawford's triumph over Canelo wasn't just another win to add to a record, it was a once-in-a-generation accomplishment that elevated him into the pantheon of all-time greats. Smith was clear, no amount of negativity or bitterness from Mayweather could overshadow Crawford's brilliance or diminish the magnitude of his achievement.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather echoed that sentiment but from a different angle, focusing on the lasting impact this defeat will have on Canelo Alvarez. He explained that Canelo wasn't just any champion, he was the undisputed king of his division, a man whose dominance seemed unshakable. Yet Crawford, a naturally smaller fighter, stormed into his territory and dethroned him in front of the world. Jeff described the loss not as a minor blemish, but as a permanent stain on Canelo's record, a wound that time won't heal. He emphasized that a true champion is remembered by defining moments, and unfortunately for Canelo, that defining moment came in the form of a humbling loss to Terence Crawford.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on him because even though he had 40 fights, he was still fighting one of the greatest ever and an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
Well, I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great.
Stephen A. Smith, still electrified by the night he witnessed, admitted that being there in person made the event even more powerful. He called it one of the greatest performances in the history of the sport, a smaller man stepping up in weight and outclassing one of boxing's most dominant champions. Smith said no one in the modern era had ever accomplished such a feat with that level of control, precision, and confidence. He declared the night a turning point, not just for Crawford's career, but for boxing itself, a redefining moment of what pound-for-pound greatness truly means.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now I was there. I was there. Because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer, still visibly emotional after the fight, made it clear that his fighter has nothing left to prove. He's done it all, he said, frustrated that some critics continue to question Crawford's greatness even after dismantling one of the most decorated champions of this generation. For the team, this victory was more than a title, it was a statement that ended all debate. The trainer added that Crawford isn't chasing names anymore, he's chasing history. Beating Canelo, he said, was the final stamp on a career that now belongs among the immortals.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up and he never accepted the fight. And so with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley didn't hold back, boldly stating that Crawford's name now belongs at the very top of any greatest of all-time discussion, even above Floyd Mayweather's. For Bradley, this fight wasn't just about a win, it was about redefining what pound-for-pound number one really means. He explained that while Mayweather perfected the science of boxing during his era, Crawford took it further, facing a bigger, stronger opponent in Canelo and dominating him in every department. Bradley said Crawford's performance wasn't just technical excellence, it was courage, intelligence, and mastery rolled into one, propelling him into a realm reserved for only the rarest legends.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? You see, I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume.
Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. offered a measured but powerful perspective. He drew a sharp comparison between Mayweather's victory over a young Canelo years ago and Crawford's win over the fully developed version of the same fighter. When Floyd beat him, Roy explained, Canelo was still learning. He wasn't the monster he became. But Crawford faced a seasoned, experienced, and dangerous Canelo, the one who had terrorized opponents for nearly a decade. Despite being smaller, Crawford not only faced the challenge but dismantled him. Roy said that's what makes the achievement extraordinary. It wasn't just skill versus strength, it was a smaller man beating a prime Canelo at his absolute best.
Great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights would have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was left in sheer disbelief. He described Canelo as being completely overwhelmed, unable to handle Crawford's pace, precision, and relentless accuracy. It was unbelievable, McKenzie said, calling it one of the most complete boxing displays he's ever witnessed. He emphasized that Crawford didn't just become undisputed, he proved himself nearly untouchable. According to McKenzie, what fans saw that night was the perfect balance of timing, power, and discipline, a performance so polished it will be studied by future generations of fighters.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight, not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close a round, knowing how to win rounds.
Trainer Robert Garcia delivered perhaps the strongest statement of all, arguing that Crawford achieved something even Mayweather never dared to attempt. Garcia pointed out that Crawford didn't just beat Canelo, he dominated him, winning 9 or 10 rounds clearly. He highlighted that Floyd never took on such a dangerous challenge, never moved up this far in weight to take on a naturally bigger champion at his peak. Crawford risked everything, Garcia said, and that's what separates the greats from the legends. For him, this victory was about courage, ambition, and the willingness to chase greatness when others would play it safe.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised at how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight, and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retired.
Brian Norman Sr. spoke with conviction, saying that Crawford's victory wasn't just decisive, it was devastating. Canelo wasn't beaten, he said. He was broken down. Norman reminded fans that for years, Canelo ruled the super middleweight division with authority, defeating elite opponents with heavy hands and unmatched composure. But on this night, everything changed. Crawford didn't rely on survival or luck. He systematically dismantled Canelo round after round, leaving him searching for answers that never came. It was, Norman said, a masterclass that stripped away the aura of invincibility. For a fighter who had seemed untouchable for so long, this loss will forever mark the night the king fell.
That against Bud on Porter, I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud is the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease.
Break,
You got to respect him.
break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you want it tonight?
He won the fight by taking Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was stronger and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was, I'm sorry, not Canelo, Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Primo or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bunny has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's opinionated situation with the Styles they fight. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be the opinionated thing with the Styles they fight. You never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras.
Yeah,
right?
different eras. It's a different a lot of things.
Yeah.
Andre Ward, one of the most respected voices in boxing, placed Crawford's victory in its rightful historical place. He called it a generational fight, the kind of performance fans will talk about 20, 30, even 50 years from now. Ward explained that moments like these are what define eras and cement legacies. What impressed him most was Crawford's composure, never rushing, never breaking focus, executing his game plan with surgical precision. This was greatness in real time, Ward said. In his eyes, Crawford's dismantling of Canelo wasn't just a statement win, it was a defining moment that elevated him into the same conversations as Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Mayweather himself.
Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Canelo, from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 38, 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So, what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
That's all for today's breakdown. The boxing world may never see another night quite like it, where skill, courage, and destiny align so perfectly. Stay tuned for more coverage and reactions as the dust settles on one of the most iconic fights in modern boxing history.